Hey, this is Scott, and today I want to talk about the Hollyland Cosmo 600 wireless video system, which I'm using right here on this director's monitor cage. So as I said, I am using the Cosmo 600 right now on my Canon C200, and I want to break this review into 3 parts. I want to talk about my impressions and thoughts on this system after having used it for quite a while now, pros and cons, things like that. I'll do a distance test, of course, to show you how this works at different distances, to show how it deals with things like interference, and we'll just see how that works. And then part 3, I will show you, what's in this kit and what the design of the actual units looks like, the interface, things like that. If you want to jump ahead to any of those sections, just go ahead and check the video description. I'll put a timeline down there where you can do just that. Also, if you're interested in this kit or any of the other kits available from Hollyland, I'll put a link to that down there as well. My very first impressions when getting this system is that everything here was really nice quality, and I mean that goes down to the very small details. Everything from the case, the latches on the case, the custom cut foam inserts on that case, I mean things like the release system for the batteries on the actual units themselves. Of course, the units themselves, they're very solid. Everything here just screams quality, and that goes for the director's monitor cage as well. Everything just feels like it's going to last you, and you're definitely getting your money's worth. In terms of reliability, I haven't really pushed them to any extreme situations in my use, but I have used them quite a lot on set, both in my personal use and also in professional use, and they've been absolutely fantastic. They've done a really great job in all of the situations that I put them in. They've been solid. They're really easy to get connected, and when I say easy to get connected, I mean you literally just turn them on and they're good to go as long as they're on the same channel. Very easy to use, very reliable from everything that I've seen. Again, we will do stress tests in just a moment, but in terms of actual real world use, for me at least, they've been really flawless. They're really compact too, considering what they can do, zero latency, high quality video transmission over up to about 600 feet or, just under 200 meters. I really think that considering all that, they have a pretty good small form factor. They have a good amount of stuff to get you going inside of this kit, pretty much everything except for the actual HDMI or SDI cables. They have some different mounts. They have, of course, antennas, including one extra, and I did get the standard antennas plus some mushroom antennas, which should give you a little bit of a better connection, especially when you have the transmitter and receiver at maybe different vertical heights. You have one up on a light stand, for example, to see over a crowd of people. And they have the DTAP power cables, so you can go ahead and plug this into a battery that has DTAP on there, like on the monitor's cage that I have right here, or on your camera, which I also have right here in front of me. So pretty much everything you need to go, except for the actual cables to connect to your camera and your monitor, are included in this kit, and it's all organized in a really nice way in a very good quality carry case. Just to be fair, of course, we'll go ahead and talk about some of the cons as well. And one of the first things that I noticed when I took this out of the box is just that there's no screw threads on the actual face of the unit. So if you want to mount this flat on top of something, for example, then you're going to have to find some creative way to do that, because the only connections are on the bottom. Another thing that I noticed, which I have told Hollyland about and they're aware of now, so hopefully that will be something that is addressed in the future, is just that the screw threads on my unit didn't seem to be quite deep enough, that some mounts that I tried with this, not all of them, some mounts didn't screw in all the way, and I couldn't get like a tight connection with them. Even the Magic Arm mount that they included with this kit, which is a really great mount, I'll show you some B-roll of it, it's a really great little mount. Even that, one side of it screws all the way in and holds that tight connection to the unit, the other side doesn't. So I just marked it with tape which side works well with the unit, so that way when I take it out I don't have to spend time fiddling with it and figuring that out. I also noticed that there is no indication of battery power on the unit, so if you're using a battery on the back of this, you're not going to be able to see how much battery you have left, which is kind of a downer. I've been using it with V-mount batteries, which I can see the remaining battery on the battery itself, so that's not a problem, but you won't be able to look at the interface of this unit and see the remaining battery. Otherwise, the only other thing that I really have to say in terms of my impressions and my thoughts on this system after having used it is that, of course, the receiver here has internal antennas, and just that design inherently has some limitations to it as to the range and to how effectively it can transmit your signal through barriers, especially the human body. So if you do find yourself where you're pushing the limits of the range, or where you really have a lot of people, maybe large crowds, you're going to want to make sure that you get this up and over them so that way it has a clear line of sight, or consider something with maybe some external antennas which may do better in those situations. Also, at this price point, maybe it's asking a lot, but I would really love a system that could scan for the clearest or strongest signal, the strongest channel by itself, like some wireless microphone units can do, for example. I think that would just make it easier. You can switch channels if you're having some interference or issues with the channel that you're using, but there's no auto scan feature built into this. Otherwise, I really love these units. I mean, most of those complaints are really nitpicky, and they haven't stopped me at all from happily using this, again, both on my personal shoots and also my professional shoots over this past month or two that I've been using these units. So if you are looking at anything from Hollyland, you know, they have some different options, higher and lower, depending on what your personal needs are. But in terms of the quality of their products, I can say that they are absolutely top notch, very good quality, very solid, and I have a lot of confidence that they will be very long lasting and reliable. So let's jump outside to do some distance tests, and I will show you with the standard antennas and also the mushroom antennas just to see if there's any significant difference there. Anyway, short story long, let's jump into it. Alright, so walking down the steps now. 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Double check still. This is at 100, still in the range of sight with that. Line of sight, whatever. 100, 101, 102, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 200. So this now is 200 meters. And I had my back turned, but more or less line of sight. Let's start walking back though. This will be even more clear line of sight than before. Towards the camera, there it is. Let's start walking. 90, 91, 2, 93, 94, 95, 96, 7, 98, 99, 100. So again, we're at 100 now. And this is where we're at. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 46, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. So again, 100, pretty much exactly the same spot. My counting is on point. Alright, so this is the case that everything comes in. Let's take a quick look at this, how everything is organized in here, what is in here, and then we'll take a closer look at each of the units themselves, how they work, and what things are built into them. So this case is a very, very nice case. It's a waterproof case, so you've got this little pressure valve here, and it's a very, very nice hard case. You've got metal reinforced lock holes here if you want to put locks on this, and you have a nice rubberized handle here, so it's really comfortable and easy to grip when you're carrying it with you. You've also got little levers on the latches here, so you don't just pull them open, but you pull this lever down and then pull it open. So that's kind of a little extra added level of safety, so it doesn't get hooked on anything and accidentally pulled open when you don't want it to. Opening this up, I want to point out two things. One is that I really appreciate the case kind of stays at this position here. It doesn't flop all the way back. So if you just have this sitting on a table or on the ground somewhere, this is not going to flap all the way open. The second thing I want to point out is that this is a very nice quality foam in here that is cut out, of course, for all the parts. And I don't have this in here right now because the receiver is on my monitor's cage. This monitor's cage is also from Hollyland, so I want to show you that in just a moment. Didn't feel like taking it all apart, but this is where that would go, and it sits in there just like the transmitter does right here. There are a couple little holes on the side here for you to stick your fingers in and lift this up, because this is removable and you do have another layer underneath that with all the little goodies. You'll see this kit comes with 3 antennas for the transmitter, and there's a bunch of empty slots because the receiver in this unit, in this kit, does have built-in antennas, and you don't need these external antennas for it. And the transmitter only needs 2 of these, but you do get 1 extra, which is nice. These antennas are like a flat design here, and they are bendable, so you can bend them at any angle you want, however much you want, which is a nice easy way to use those. And once you get them screwed onto your transmitter there, you can bend them at the angle that you need to get that nice kind of V formation there to get a good strong signal. Down here you also do have these mushroom antennas, and as you just saw in my tests, these are probably most of the time going to give you a little bit more of a solid connection, especially when you have camera and the transmitter and the receiver on different vertical heights. This is going to give you a little bit more of a solid, reliable connection. And I found that even just in many situations these have worked really great for me. So I use these pretty much all of the time, but you do have the option for the standard antenna as well. Ignore this bag, these are just some leftover tools from the cage kit. I just shoved them in here so that way I have everything all together. But if you look down here again in the bottom next to those mushroom antenna, you do have this cable. This is a D-tap to LEMO power cable. And there are, of course, 2 included in this kit, but 1 is now being used on this monitor's cage. There are originally 2 in here, and this is what they look like. They're stretchy, coiled cables, a good length, and a very good quality cable. You get a nice locking LEMO connection that goes right into the units, and you can power these from D-tap power. You also get a couple of options for mounting. You get this little clamp here. This is an all metal clamp, and you've probably seen something like this before. It just kind of screws open and screws closed. Nothing super special about it, but you do get the screw threads on here, so you could put this onto a pole or a light stand or tripod leg or something like that, and screw maybe this or another magic arm right into here to hold the units. That'll help you in a lot of different situations. And this is the unit, the magic arm that I was talking about before. A very nice little magic arm. It has a really nice wide thumb screw here that makes it really easy to loosen and tighten this. And then you got the flexible ball type attachments on both sides, and these screws will screw in with this wheel here. You don't have to turn the whole unit. It has these little wheels here that you can use to screw this into your transmitter or receiver, as well as whatever's on the other side. Under that, you do have a USB cable, which is going to be probably for your firmware updates and things like that. So it's just tucked right in here in its own little spot. That's pretty much it for what's in this kit. But again, this is a waterproof case, and it is very protective. So you got these custom cut foam inserts as well as the egg crate foam on the top to keep everything safe. Moving that off to the side, let's start off with the transmitter, which you can see here is pretty much the size of my hand. It's a pretty good compact little transmitter. And I believe this takes about 7 watts of power. So you can run this off of a small little Sony MPF battery for I think 2 or 3 hours is what I've been seeing out of this little small sized battery here. So it has a pretty good battery life, pretty good small form factor that I think is not going to really be too overbearing on pretty much any camera setup. The battery plate on the back here works really nicely. I know it's just a battery plate, but it does have this spring-loaded lock in here, so you just place it in and slide it down and you're locked in. To release it, just push this button and slide it up. So you can do it one-handed very easily, like that. Push it in, lock it in, and then one-handed push this release lever, push the battery up, and you're good to go. It's a really nice locking connection, not only friction-based. You don't have to worry about this getting pushed out or bumped out by accident, and when you take it out, no struggle, very easy. I know it's a small detail, but I really like that, and it just makes the whole thing feel like it works better. It feels like it's a little bit higher quality of a unit compared to some that they kind of cheap out on this battery plate part. You can see that all of the connections for the antenna up here, as well as these little SDI connections on the side, they're all protected here in the physical design of this, so nothing is going to get bent or damaged, not very easily anyway. These are just a little bit sticking out here, but the shape of the body as it bumps up right here, that'll keep this protected. If you want to put this flat down onto a table, the battery is weighing it over right now, but you can put this flat down onto a table and you have no worries whatsoever. Same as on the top side, you can put this flat down. You don't have to worry about bumping or damaging these connections here. So that's really nice. And all of the body here, all of this is solid metal except for, of course, the battery plate. Really nice construction. On the one side, you have your USB connection, you have your HDMI in, as well as SDI in and out. So you can send an SDI signal into here and then loop out through SDI to go to an on-camera monitor, if you will. If you want to, it will cross convert that for you, or you could go SDI in, SDI out, or you don't have to send a signal out, but you can, and that doesn't affect anything. It doesn't affect the latency or whatever. It'll all still work just as it should. This is just a little reminder that this is the formation you want to bend those antennas into to get the best signal. On the bottom, you have 3 screw threads. You have the 3/8 inch screw thread in the middle, as well as a couple of 1/4 inch screw threads on the side. I think that the middle one is the main one you're going to want to use in most situations, so I think it's actually a smart idea that they made it a 3/8 inch thread, because then you can use it with larger screw type mounts, or you can put an adapter in here and you can use it with 1/4-20 type mounts as well. On the other side, you have your connection for the LEMO in. This is for that power cable, the D-tap power cable that I showed you, and the on and off switch, which is a very little switch, and it's made in a way that I think it's not going to accidentally get switched off. At least, pushing it down will turn it on, and that's easier to do, but you have this kind of raised area here where I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to accidentally push that up and switch it off So I think that's a good way to protect this switch from accidentally being switched off, unless you really want to intentionally do that. You also have your 3.5mm stereo audio input right here on the side, and that's about it. On the top, like we said, you have your antenna connections here and these little metal protrusions to protect those from being damaged. On the front side, you have your main screen here, which will give you some information, and this will be your interface for doing things like changing your channel and a couple of other things that we'll look into in just a second. And you have a couple buttons here, one for menu and one for up and down, which will allow you to change the channels or navigate through the pretty simple menu. Taking a quick look at the receiver here, you can see it's a little bit larger. If I put it up against the transmitter here, it's just a little bit larger. And it has those built-in antennas. So this top section here is plastic. That's where the antennas are. The rest of the body is metal, just like the transmitter. On the side of the unit, you have two SDI outputs as well as an HDMI output and that USB connection. This may be a little bit tricky to see, but on the other side you have your, again, LEMO power in as well as your on and off switch, just like the transmitter. On the bottom you have your 3 screw threads, which are a little bit more spaced out than on the transmitter. The face of the unit is again pretty much the same, and on the back you again have a NPF battery mount, just like on the transmitter. I've gone ahead and connected this to my camera so I can show you a little bit more about the interface here, but also I want to just show you the startup time. So once we turn this on, it takes probably about 5 seconds to get started up and get the signal and everything going, and there we are, we're good to go. On the transmitter here, you have your signal strength as well as your channel. You have the signal source and the signal quality. And then also you have the unit temperature status. So this is normal. If it's going to overheat or anything, you'll get a warning right here. Pressing the down or up button will not immediately change your channel, but it will start to blink, and that means now you can go ahead and change your channel. So you can dial through all your channels from channel 1 up to channel 9. So you have all of those channels you can choose from. I'm on channel 3 right now, so I'm going to go back to that, and then if you just leave it, it'll stop blinking and be locked in just a couple seconds. Holding the menu button down for a few seconds will bring you into the so-called menu, but you can see on the transmitter here, it really is not much of a menu. You can check your version here, and if you need to update firmware or anything, you can see what version you currently have right there. You can return, and then all you can really do is just exit the menu. So it's not much of a menu, but that is on the transmitter side of things. This is the interface you get. As you can see here, the receiver has pretty much the same interface, all of the same information here. The only difference is if you hold this menu button down to jump into the menu, you'll see one extra option, and that is the second option, the on-screen display, and you can turn that on or off. And according to the manual, this will turn off the display of received signal numerical value, but you can see that I have it off here, and when I go back out of the menu, still that received signal's numerical value is there. So I'm not completely sure what is changing here, but yeah, basically the main interface is going to be exactly the same on both of these units. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I mean, you turn them on, and as long as they are on the same channel, they will connect automatically. If you go out of range, when you come back into range, they will automatically reconnect, and it just works flawlessly. So there's really not much else to say about it. Again, like I said, whether or not you are sending a loop out signal from the transmitter, there's still zero latency in this system, and I will show my test on screen right now once more. And I basically just compared the video from the camera itself to the video feed that I was getting on this monitor, doing some action to see how much delay there was between those two signals. And I did that with the wireless system, and I also did it just with a direct wired connection to my camera, and I got exactly the same amount of delay. I mean, maybe there was some invisible amount of delay, but it was not anything that was visible. I mean, there's 4 frames delay, and that's just inherent of my monitor or the connection of my camera, and the actual wireless system did not introduce any extra delay at all. Just to quickly go over this actual monitor cage that I have here, this is also from Hollyland. Like I said, it's kind of like a rod-based system here where you got a couple of rods on either side, and you can slide these handles up or down as you need, as well as this bar that goes across the top to fit different sized monitors. And you also do have the screw on the bottom, which will hold your monitor in place. I've moved it off to the side here so that way I can fit these inputs on the bottom of my monitor, depending on how your monitor is made. Those connections may be on the side or whatever, but you have a little space in there that you can get all your wires and everything tucked away very nicely. And you have a couple of these kind of cheese plates on the bottom that you can use to connect their V-mount battery plate. Sorry, this is all upside down right now, but you can connect their V-mount battery plate to it, as well as the receiver. So it's all right on the back here And their battery plate also does have a couple of D-tap connections on there. I'm actually just using the D-tap connections on my battery itself, but the plate itself does also have those connections. And just everything is really, really solidly made. I felt like this is a really, really nice kit here. The handles are a very nice rubber, very comfortable to hold. You got these little attachments here that you can hook on a strap if you want to hold this around your neck. And just, yeah, everything here is really, really solid. I love it. I can sit it flat on the table. You can also slide this onto a stand. I have this little stand receiver here if you want to put this on top of a light stand. You know, if someone's standing and maybe pulling focus and they want to be watching the monitor, you can put that right there, and this will screw tight onto the top of that stand. Just a really, really nice overall monitor. And you do have, you know, screw holes everywhere, so if you want to put anything extra on here, you could do that. So that's about it for this kit. Of course, Hollyland does have more expensive and cheaper kits depending on what your personal needs are. One that's been very popular recently has been the Mars 300, which is a really compact kit that they released at a very good price. And you know, there will be some sacrifices with that. Latency for one is going to be worse with that than it is with this kit, and some other small things that you're going to sacrifice for price, but I think that's still going to be a great kit for a lot of people who aren't doing, you know, mission critical things like focus pulling, for example, where you don't really mind the latency quite as much. You know, if you just want somebody to be watching what you're filming while you're filming it, or if you want to use it at a wedding, you know, maybe to throw up the image to a screen that everybody can view live. There's going to be a lot of applications for it, and that's going to be a really great way to get your foot in the door at a lower price. But if you want something that's a little bit higher quality, that may last you a longer time, give you a little bit more range, more options, and also have that zero latency design, this is going to be a really great kit to get your foot in the door at that level. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below and I will do my best to get back to you. If you like this video or found it helpful, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to see more in the future and hit the little bell icon to get notifications when new content is uploaded. As always, thank you for watching.